Welcome to Virtual Japan as we are here today for round number 6.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona and away go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now as we've got 3 wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 to lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Alpha Touring Challenge Season 9 of North America's largest front-wheel drive series. I'm your host, James East, on behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, bringing the action 1080p 60 frames a second as we are here at the season finale where it all comes down to the wire. At Zolder, it's going to be a good one, as we've got a few drivers that are very much looking to walk away with a championship win here tonight. Let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on, as it looks like drivers are starting to take the grid here today. Now keep an eye out for James Carr, Logan McKenzie, Micah Hendricks, and Francois Schink. They are the drivers that are looking to lock up a championship here tonight, and there's no time left really to make it happen. Let's go ahead and run through the grid for today, starting on pole. Micah Hendricks, the number 1 machine. James Carr starting second. Dan McFarland starting third. John Lawson starting fourth. Logan McKenzie starting fifth. Francois Schink starts sixth. Mike De Almeida starting seventh. Eric Staitzer starting eighth. David Bauer starting ninth. Ian Diaz-Bertolucci starting 10th. Raymond Toe starts 11th. Kurt Smith starting 12th. Cycling on back to Edward Gorman starting 13th. Damon Mitchell starting 14th. Christian Oates starts 15th. Connor Achatella starting 16th. Matt Zepka starts 17th. Brian Saab starting 18th. Trevor Lambert-Lee starts 19th. Mark Darnell starting 20th. Kevin Clark starts 21st. Ryan Sohn starting 22nd. Mark Schrader starts 23rd. And I'm not sure who Slugnificent is. He's going to be starting 24th. I'm going to get some confirmation on that. And Jeremy Lapinus, I believe is how you say that. He'll be starting the 999 machine. So we get ready for the drivers to take the grid here today. We got Chase Small joins in the spectator area. He's rooting for me up in the broadcast booth. And here we go. The lights are off. And we are underway here. The season finale of the Alpha Touring Challenge. Hendricks with a great launch in that number 1 machine. Let's see how the rest of the field gets by behind. As it looks like so far so good for the drivers. Not seeing too much of the early lap shenanigans we've seen in races past. That's Francois Schink, John Lawson, side by side, battling for the 4th place spot. And man, Micah Hendricks almost looks like the pace car out front. He's already pulled a 9/10 gap over the rest of the field. Hearing a few off tracks. That's going to be Bertolucci, I think. Finds himself looking the wrong direction. Looks like he's able to get that thing fired back up, back out on track. There is Raymond Toe. He's being chased by De Almeida as well as Staitzer. Oh, I saw somebody off track. That was Almeida briefly. Ryan Saab also off track. So we're starting to see drivers getting tousled around here a little bit. It looks like Staitzer and Gorman almost swapped a little bit of paint. Almeida extending the track limits just so slightly. Now this is a double sprint format. We've got a 20-minute sprint followed by a 30-minute feature with an inverted top 10. We had another crash report. Brian Saab actually triggered the pit lane lights. Let's see if that was a crash onto pit road or if the broadcast software maybe picked something up here. The broadcast software picked up Brian Saab's pit entry as a possible incident. We're watching Gorman and Almeida chasing each other down just inside the top 10. Now Gorman surely knows if he finishes 10th here, that's going to put him in pole position for the final feature. Up front, it's still Hendricks, Carr, McFarlane, exactly as they started this event. Now I'm trying to get the points pulled up here. And it's going to be interesting to see how the points break down here. So 45 points available for winning the feature, 25 available for the sprint, as we have some 3-car slicing and dicing. Looks like Raymond Toe must have had a slowdown there, as he's losing a couple of spots to Gorman, Stater, and Almeida. So 45 points available for a win in the feature, 25 points up for grabs here in the sprint. We check back in on James Carr. Just set his fastest lap, but Hendricks on 138.782 has the clean air on the front of that number 1 machine. Wants to try and lock up a championship here tonight. Now I believe Carr needs to be, yes, gets the overall top 4 here tonight to lock up the championship. So he's not in a huge rush here to try and track down Hendricks. He's actually in a very, very good spot. Hendricks would need to get a P1 overall here this evening, and Carr would need to be getting 6th or worse. McKenzie with a 4th or worse overall finish. McKenzie running 5th in the 04 machine exactly as he qualified. He's tracking down John Lawson. And championship contender Francois Schink also in tow here. Connor Achatella, the 55, right behind Matt Zepka's number 490 machine. And there's good racing all across the track. We're on board with Achatella's 55. As Hendricks clicks off a 138.7, but it's immediately answered by David Bauer with a 138.64. Bauer getting a little bit of a tow from Francois Schink. He's got a 5-second gap over Mike De Almeida, running in 8th. I saw a little bit of nose-to-tail action not too far ahead of these drivers. James Carr has Dan McFarlane right behind him down the start-finish line stretch. Excuse me, the back stretch. Now, we said Carr was not in a must-win situation, but I'm sure he would like to give himself as much of an advantage as he possibly can in this sprint race, especially with the inverted top 10 to follow in the feature. A little bit further back in the field, Kurt Smith, Damon Mitchell battling for the 12th place position. Right behind them, that's Oates and Achatella, excuse me. Oh, and I see some off tracks ahead. I think that was Damon Mitchell, a bit of a bobble. He's going to have Oates, Achatella, Zepka, Trevor Lambert-Lee, Mark Darnell, all closing that gap right behind. So Smith trying to fend off a freight train of drivers here, the number 3 machine. Seems like it's very difficult for drivers to make passes out on the circuit. Depka trying to work up. Oh, almost getting to the back of Achatella. Avoids any contact there. John Lawson sets the fastest lap. Oh, 1:38.48. That's going to be the fastest clean lap of the race with no off tracks and no bumper-to-bumper incidents out on the circuit. Looks like Achatella looking for any opening he can find there against Oates, not having any luck with it. Achatella up one spot from where he qualified, still running very clean here. Looks like Damon Mitchell is going to work up alongside Kurt Smith. They make contact. Smith's off track. Mitchell gets split in the middle. And the field scatters to avoid the slower cars. Achatella came out very good there. That's going to be his 4th spot gained up into the 12th place position. Meanwhile, while that's happening, looks like something has happened with John Lawson. John Lawson has fallen back to 6th here. Let's see what happened. That pass started with Logan McKenzie in the 04 machine. Almost like Lawson just pulls over. Lawson allowing these drivers by. And more problems towards the back. This time it's Mark Darnell in the 83 machine. Continuing to get tousled around. Gets a little bit of a help, and around he goes. And while that's going on, Kevin Clark has issues. So Clark comes down pit road. Top 3 hasn't changed at all. It's Hendricks, Carr, and McFarlane. McKenzie has moved up to 4th with Francois Schink tucked in right behind. Looks like Schink still not able to get around McKenzie. McKenzie, a tough driver to pass here. Now, we are not expecting any fuel stops in this sprint race. So McKenzie will not be able to show his prowess with strategy. We got Dylan Waldron joining us. Dylan, I hate to tell you, unfortunately, it's Monday night, buddy. Not a Sunday night. But we all appreciate the support, drivers and broadcasters alike. Good to see some of the normal Thursday night crew coming out to support the Alpha Touring Challenge. 3-car battle going on for 17th. Brian Stone, Kurt Smith, Ian Diaz, Bertolucci. There goes Smith working the inside line, under braking, and he is going to make the pass complete and do so cleanly. Hendricks, a 138.2. The pace is getting faster here in the front wheel drive cars. And you can see the battle stripes on the side of Bertolucci in the 51. These front wheel drives do fairly well at beating and banging, but eventually you start getting negative returns if you beat it up too badly. Checking back in on Micah Hendricks, race leader. He's a second up over Carr. Dan McFarlane just had a little bit of an off track. That's going to allow Logan McKenzie closing the gap rather quickly here. McKenzie gaining over a half second with McFarlane's little mistake in that 23 machine. McKenzie really wants the podium. He's got to maximize every point he can find. And he really needs James Carr to make a mistake in that number 19 machine. Carr in the best spot he can be to chase that championship down. But McFarlane still 4 tenths up over McKenzie. No, a quarter of a second and closing fast. Here comes Logan McKenzie in the 04 machine. The challenge for third. You can see McFarland guarding the inside line. McKenzie, McFarland with a huge mistake, pushes wide into turn 1. McFarland falls back to the 6th place spot. McKenzie's now up to 3rd. Now again, to clinch the championship, McKenzie needs a 1st overall, and he needs James Carr, currently in 2nd, to get 5th place or worse overall here today. So this is going to be an interesting one. David Bauer getting a little bit into the gravel here. McFarland trying to mount a charge back forward. Looks like a little bit of a bobble there from Bauer, but McFarland gets the worst end out of it. We also have a battle for 10th on their way, a very important position. The top 10 will be inverted for the feature. Eric Staitzer holding on to that spot, but he's got Raymond Toe with the 996 right behind. Now I'm keeping an eye on live timing as well, as it looks like McKenzie has Francois Schenck breathing down his neck here. There's Francois in the number 18 machine. Stalking Logan McKenzie. Now Francois definitely needs some luck his way. He needs a P1 overall. He needs James Carr to get P17 or worse overall. McKenzie needs a 13 or worse, and Hendricks needs a 12 or worse for Francois to lock up the championship. We've seen crazier things happen, especially with that inverted top 12, and Francois keeping the pressure on McKenzie. You can see some gravel getting kicked up in the background as drivers are testing the limits of how far they can push out there. Now, thankfully for Micah Hendricks, I don't think he's going to run into any lap traffic here in that number 1 machine. Has a 3.4 second gap over James Carr. Evan Clark, the number 89, the only driver to have retired from this main event. Hopefully we'll see him coming back out for the feature. Good to see some newcomers as well, like Mark Schrader in the 512. He's up 2 spots, running 21st. Schrader normally running oval races, but coming out here to the Alpha Touring Challenge to get a little bit more familiar with the road shenanigans. Speaking of shenanigans, Matt Zepka with an off track. Doesn't look like he lost much time there to Christian Oates. And it looks like Staitzer keeping the pressure on Gorman, the 137. Raymond Toe also in this 3-car battle. Less than 5 minutes left to go in the opening sprint of the season finale. And unfortunately, I think Kurt Smith had another incident, and he's coming down pit road again. So apparently it's just the broadcast software picking up the pit entry, showing that as a crash. Oh, right as we pan, Staitzer with a big lunge against Gorman. Staitzer off track, spewing gravel all into the windshield of Raymond Toe. Toe's going to pull up into that 10th place spot. An extremely crucial position. That's going to put him up front if he holds that spot for the feature. Ryan Saab down pit road with an unexpected pit stop. So Gorman gets a bit of a breakaway there in 9th. Up front, it's Hendricks, Carr, McKenzie, 1, 2, 3. Francois Schenck in 4th. All 4 are podium contenders here. I'm going to do a little bit of calculating up here in the booth as well. I've got the spreadsheet ready, ladies and gentlemen, to see how the points are going to break down as I hear some more drivers beating and banging there. Checking back in, Micah Hendricks looking very, very good here. A comfortable 2-second gap, but James Carr is just running too well, too consistently. So James Carr currently in second, has 23 points to gain from this. Hendricks up front. If Hendricks finishes one position ahead of Carr, after just this race, he's still going to be about 17 points in the hole. So Carr just needs to stay smooth and consistent. And realize sometimes it's not always race wins that can bring home the championships here at the Alpha Touring Challenge. Bauer and McFarland still battling for the top 5 position. White flag should be out next time by for Hendricks, Carr, McKenzie, your top 3. So if all things stay the same here, Carr will hold on to the points lead after this opening sprint. McKenzie will still be in second, but Hendricks is going to only be 3 points off that Ford machine of Logan McKenzie. Schenck will still be holding on to fourth. White flag is out. Hendricks sets the fastest lap of the race, breaking into the 137s the first time here. A clean 137, might I add. And here we go. Micah Hendricks makes his way around the back portion of the raceway. A half lap left to go. Here we go. I mean, Hendricks needs every single point he can get. And for the final time, the final sprint of the season, Micah Hendricks picks up the win. As you can see, Barnier Flagman, the left side of the screen, vigorously waving the checkered. James Carr will get second, and Logan McKenzie will round out the top 3. We're going to get these drivers up here to victory lane for their podium interviews. We've got Hendricks, we've got Carr, so we're just waiting on Logan McKenzie. And then we will be able to start these podium interviews. All right, looks like the gang is all here. We're going to start things off with Mr. Logan McKenzie bringing it home in third. Logan, a very smooth, consistent race, but man, tell me, it looks like it's very difficult to make clean passes at this track.
Yeah, all the corners want you to go through them one at a time, so trying to find a place to pass is a little tough. It's definitely a tough race out there.
Now, what's the plan? We've seen you do some undercuts, some overcuts in the past. What's the plan coming into tonight for the final feature event to try and maximize every point you can squeeze out of this thing?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I need some help. James is in a good position right now. I think, he finished second in between Micah and I, so he doesn't need much to clinch the championship here. I think it's gonna be something like a P6 or a P7, and he's good to go with this gap he has, no matter where anyone else finishes. So all I can do for the feature is survive, and if it comes to me, I'll let it come.
Well, it's going to be a good shootout, and overall, it's been a great season for both you and the team. I mean, you guys have been doing a fantastic job, obviously putting the work in on and off the track to get ready. What's the plan going into next season? Are you going to change strategies at all, or are you fairly happy with how things have went and going to stay to the course?
Yeah, I like the setup shop I use. I like the Elantra. I imagine it'll just be kind of a continuation of the same, which is just me trying to be super consistent.
Well, so far you've been doing it. Logan, always a pleasure. Before I get you ready for this final feature of the season, who do you want to give a shout to that helped bring home this podium for you tonight?
Didn't really help, but shout out to Francois for Clean Racing and Micah and James. Like no matter who wins, it'll be a good race.
Awesome. Logan, always a pleasure, and best of luck out there, buddy.
Thank you.
That was Logan McKenzie bringing it home in third. Up next, we've got James Carr joining us, finishing second. James, seems like you've got championships on the mind. Didn't push if you didn't have to, and kept the nose clean for the duration of that sprint.
Yeah, for sure. I had Dan right on me, keeping me honest for a little bit there, and he was pretty kind to me for a little bit there. But I was pushing super hard to keep up with Micah because he's rapid here. I mean, he's rapid everywhere, but I had pretty close to the incident limit with about 4 laps to go, and I said to myself, why am I risking it all right now?
Now, James, if I'm doing my math right, I think you need either a 6th or maybe a 5th in this feature to lock up the championship, assuming McKenzie can bring home a win. What's the strategy going to the sprint with that inverted top 12 to protect the car and keep the dream alive here?
That's a fantastic question. I should probably start thinking about that. I've got Francois and Logan ahead of me, Micah behind me. I'm thinking if I can get past them right away, great. If I can't, just survive.
Well, it's going to be an exciting one. Now, here at the track, it seemed like it was tough for drivers to really make passes unless somebody else made a mistake. Does that kind of play into the strategy going to this final race?
For sure. The last thing I need to do is make an error for myself. Let the people make their errors around me and just get through clean.
Well, James, very well said. Looking forward to seeing what happens in that feature here tonight. We wish you the best of luck. And before I let you go, who do you want to give a shout to that helped bring home the second here in the final sprint of the season?
As always, they'll get another thanks hopefully towards the end. But as always, breakfast for dinner. The boys, you know who you are. You're always there. Thank you, guys.
Awesome, James. A pleasure, my friend, and good luck in the final feature of the season.
Thanks, brother.
That was James Carr bringing it home. And second, up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Micah Hendricks. Welcome back to the top spot, buddy.
Yeah, thanks. Missed you last week, but a couple mistakes on my end kept me from being there. So glad to solve some of those mistakes on my end for the sprint race today.
Now, Hendricks, this championship is coming down to the wire despite what we all thought. I mean, there's so many of you guys that have been in it to win it. And if I'm looking at the points right, if you get first, McKenzie gets second, and Carr gets, I believe, a seventh or worse, you are in a possible championship hunt here.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the way the points break down, obviously before penalties and bonus points. But, that's really going to be the key. I can't really do anything unless I win this feature. So, I know James, he has to take it easy. I can afford a little bit all or nothing mentality on it.
Well, sorry, it looks like our interviews have ran a little bit long here, or maybe they did a shorter time, but we're going to let you get back out there for the feature, my friend.
Good deal. Hope to talk to you here in a few.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Micah.
Yep, bye.
Now, I'm not sure what happened. Historically, we have 10 minutes. There's going to be some words with the admins. Maybe it's only a 5-minute. Maybe I'm just terrible at my job up here in the booth. But unfortunately, I had to cut things off short with Micah Hendricks, as we do have that inverted top 10. So Raymond Tozy, we start the number 1 spot. Edward Gorman starting second. Mike De Almeida starting third. John Lawson starting fourth. Dan McFarland starting fifth. David Bauer starts sixth. Francois Schink starting 7th. Logan McKenzie starts 8th. James Carr starting 9th. And Micah Hendricks will round out that top 10. It's the final feature of the season, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go as the lights click off. We are underway here at the Alpha Touring Challenge. Looks like Edward Gorman gets a good start. And the number 137, Toe defending the inside line. We are 2 wide and about 5 rows deep here. Gorman taking over the top spot. Something has happened. Christian Oates moving up the standings. Battling back and forth with Matt Zepka. Drivers are going to be beating and banging here to try and make their way around. Not a lot of real estate to make it happen. Now keep an eye on the scoreboard. Schink, McKenzie, Carr, Hendricks, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. As it looks like Carr just made a move on McKenzie. McKenzie fires back immediately. Now one thing I don't have at my disposal here is the bonus points on how that can affect the championship. And I'm going to be curious to see as well, with this 30-minute feature, are we going to see those previous top 5 drivers work their way back up to the front? Or are they going to be kind of content where they're at? As something has happened, Raymond Toe parked in a very precarious position there. The 996 watching the field go by. And it looks like Dan McFarland's going to have his share of problems. They're dropping like flies here in the final feature. What happened to McFarland to put him so far down the standings? Does he get a little bit of help? Oh, yes, he does. Gets absolutely drilled by the number 6 of Mike De Almeida, who just missed the mark. John Lawson takes over the race lead from Gorman and Bauer. Francois Schink has moved all the way up to 4th. Logan McKenzie following along here. So Carr currently in 9th. If I'm looking at this correctly, and I think I am, Carr would still lock up the championship if McKenzie finishes 5th and Carr finishes 9th. Speaking of McKenzie, he's got a pretty frantic battle here side by side with David Bauer's 35 machine. Ooh, no, there, around goes McKenzie. McKenzie holds on to it. A little bit of contact there with himself and Bauer. But now Micah Hendricks trying to capitalize on McKenzie's misfortune. McKenzie in 5th, Hendricks in 6th. And who was that I just saw off track? That was, I think, Eric Staitzer. I almost thought it was his teammate McKenzie, and look at this. This is a recipe for roughness. That is Oates getting pressure from James Carr. Carr running 9th here, I believe, would still get the championship. John Lawson sets the fastest lap of 139.33. He is not a title contender, but he is here for the glory of it. Francois Schink has moved up into 3rd. Behind Oates, it's Carr, Zepka, Achatella, Mitchell, Bertolucci, Darnell, Lambert Lee. A lot of drivers here running from that 7th place back position. Seems like Carr just kind of taking it easy here in the number 19 machine. I think his goal here is to just save the car. No pun intended. But if Carr can hold on to that position, even with McKenzie in 5th, McKenzie would need to get 4th or better with Carr in 9th here, I believe, for McKenzie to lock up a championship. So it's going to be mighty, mighty close here. McKenzie a half second off David Bauer in 35. These drivers so equally matched on pace, it's really tough to get the momentum back going. As you can see, John Lawson out front on 138.851. Now we saw some 137s last race. Once the tanks start getting a little bit lower, it's going to be interesting to see if that happens again. Carr keeping the pressure on Oast in the 157. Oast is up 6 positions so far in this sprint, so things are going very, very well for him here. Go a little bit further back, Bertolucci running 12th in the number 51 machine. Ian has locked up the Delta Championship. There goes Brian Saab off track. I think that was Kurt Smith as well. I wonder if they were involved with each other or if that's just 2 different solo incidents. Oh, they were definitely off together. Luckily, no other drivers getting tangled up in that one. John Lawson a 1.1 second lead over the rest of the field. Gorman in 2nd, Schink in 3rd. So McKenzie's in a tough spot here. He's got Bauer just ahead, Hendricks right behind. And Hendricks wants every spot he can get. Schink a 138.79, getting progressively faster here. McKenzie has to stay ahead. He needs to get up into the top 3 if he wants a hope at the championship contention. If Hendricks finishes ahead of McKenzie, if Hendricks finishes 5th, McKenzie 6th, that would put both those drivers tied for 2nd in points. And Carr would still get the championship. The rotor's glowing on McKenzie's 04. Hendricks in very hot pursuit. Bauer getting a bit of a breakaway. He's extended that gap up to a second. 1.1 seconds up over McKenzie, and Hendricks having one intense battle here for 5th. Meanwhile, Carr keeping the pressure on Oates. I wonder if Carr has done the math coming to this race, knowing that where he needs to finish to lock up a championship. As he is not, was that Carr flashing the high beams at Oates? Yes, it was. That's the gentleman's way of saying, hey, I'm about to be coming through, whether you want that or not. Carr being very careful not to put that number 19 machine too squarely in the vortex of danger. Bauer 138.45, tying the fastest lap with Edward Gorman. No, excuse me, that is the fastest lap. Gorman on 139.45. Carr has the nose chopped off again as he tries to look for a passing opportunity. Right now, I show the points still being James Carr with a 5-point advantage from where he's at on track in 9th. I know he's losing a little bit of patience here, but he's in a good spot, just needs to finish this thing. We all watch with bated breath to see if Carr does something risky here. They are catching up to the back of Almeida as well, the number 6 machine. We also have a very heated battle going on for 14th. Lambert Lee and States are side by side. Right behind them, that's Mark Darnell, the number 83 machine. Looks like Stater guards that inside spot. Will take over 14th, but Lambert Lee right there with him in the 333 machine. Look at Darnell looking for an opening, can't find it. Darnell looks like he's giving a push to Stater there. Oh, a little bit of trading paint. Lambert Lee takes back over the 15th place spot. Stater falls to 15th. Excuse me, Lambert Lee up to 14th. Carr all over the back of Oates trying to find the opening. And these guys are launching these Alpha Touring machines off the curbing here. Such an extremely tough track to make any big moves at. We got Dan McFarland here. Cheering on John Lawson up front. Lawson a 1.2 second gap over Edward Gorman. Oates trying to make a move on Almeida. I almost wonder if Carr's going to take it easy here, watch that battle unfold, and see if a moment of opportunity presents itself. Because in this position, Carr can't really even chase any bonus points, such as fastest lap. Just has to kind of stay behind and watch the battle unfold. Almeida running 7th in the number 6 machine, down 4 spots from where he qualified. Francois Schink has David Bauer's 35 machine. Right in total. It looks like they're catching up to Edward Gorman as well. Lawson's going to hope the rest of the field battles behind him. allowing that number 77 machine to stretch his legs and join the clean track, but it looks like now Gorman closing the gap within a second of Lawson for the first time in a long time. And Francois Schink under heavy pressure from Bauer here. James Carr still sitting comfortably in ninth. McFarland makes a good point. The drive-thrus, very tricky. And the broadcast software doesn't do a good job of telling us up here in the production booth on how many off-tracks the driver really has. Some tracks such as Spa, the broadcast software will light up like a Christmas tree with off-tracks, even though iRacing doesn't report the 1Xs. Right now, John Lawson showing as 0 off-tracks with the race lead, as it looked like Carr was trying to make something happen against Oates, but just, he's got to be frustrated, can't make his way forward. If Carr holds on to that 9th place spot, McKenzie needs a 3rd or better to try and win the championship. I think things are about to get really dicey up here in the top 3. Gorman has a very fast Francois Schink and David Bauer right in tow. Lawson still holding on to a 2nd advantage behind Bauer. 1.3 seconds back is Logan McKenzie. The cross green and white flags will be displayed this time by for John Lawson. Signaling the halfway mark of today's final feature event. Schink trying to use the draft against Gorman. Got it within less than 2/10, but just, it's such a tough track to pass on. As Dan McFarland said, extremely easy to get those off tracks and 1Xs, which very quickly accumulate. Lawson out front, Gorman 2nd, Schink in 3rd. Bauer and McKenzie round out the top 5 in the final race of the season. Championship contender James Carr still trying desperately to get around Oates in the 157. Now, if penalty points weren't at play, I would almost think Carr would start using the front bumper a little bit more aggressively. But has to be mindful of penalty points, as it looks like a huge check up there from Edward Gorman. Francois Schink hard on the brakes. David Bauer almost gets in the back of him. That's going to allow Logan McKenzie to join this party at the front. Oh, we're about to see some aggressive moves, I think, with 14 minutes left to go. So keep an eye out on that 04 of Logan McKenzie as Micah Hendricks. That was an extremely aggressive pit entry. I worried Hendricks was going to have a slowdown after that one. We saw the car zooming by here. So I had plenty of time. I mean, still on the throttle late into the pit entry. So the question is, maybe Dan McFarland would be a good source on this. Was that Hendricks serving a drive-through penalty? It's only 11 incident point limit. So I think that might have been an incident point drive-through. Yeah, Hendricks in and out, 35 seconds, never came down his pit stall. Hendricks will have a drive-through penalty. And that will effectively take Hendricks out of the championship. Now Mark Schrader went off track, followed by a tow down pit road. So the number 5112 will be retired here. I think he just gave up on his own special way. So McKenzie still fighting for a 5th. We think McKenzie needs a 3rd or better here. Oh, I think it's going to have to be better than a 3rd. I think McKenzie now needs a 2nd. James Carr has moved up into 8th, with Hendricks getting that drive-through penalty. So this is going to be very, very interesting. The championship effectively between James Carr and Logan McKenzie. McKenzie on track in 5th. Carr now up into 7th. So McKenzie right now, unless Carr has a bobble, McKenzie needs a 2nd to tie for the championship, not including bonus points. So McKenzie needs a 2nd or better to keep these hopes alive. Little bit over 10 minutes left to go. McKenzie and Francois Schenck battling for the 4th place spot. John Lawson has company. Edward Gorman, David Bauer starting to close the gap to that all-blue number 77 machine, who's been leading a large portion of this final event of the year. Oh, and we do have a battle for the lead. Edward Gorman comes down pit road. And something has happened. No, that's James Carr. He's down pit road. It triggered the broadcast crash alert, and I almost had a heart attack up here in the booth. Logan McKenzie has taken over 3rd from Francois Schenck. Are these drive-thrus we're seeing? What on earth is happening, ladies and gentlemen? I don't believe what I'm seeing here. James Carr is serving a drive-through penalty, has fallen all the way back to 16th. This championship could very well be decided by penalties, ladies and gentlemen. McKenzie has to keep his nose so extremely clean. If he can finish 3rd, he will lock up a championship, I'm fairly certain. What on earth is in the water here tonight? I very rarely at a loss for words, but we're getting very, very close to it. So McKenzie, how is he doing on off tracks? On the broadcast software, I show McKenzie with 2 off tracks and James Carr with 7. But that does not include any car-to-car contact and stuff of that sort. Less than 9 minutes left to go. It's Lawson, Bauer, McKenzie. Francois Schenck sitting in 4th. There is a chance, a small chance, McKenzie can bring home a championship here. After so many drivers have had issues. Christian Oates down pit road, we assume for a drive-through. I am absolutely losing my mind up here. Logan McKenzie has a shot of a championship. It was an uphill battle coming to this feature event. Zepka and Achatella battling for 7th. Zepka ahead by just about a 1/4 of a second. Achatella looking for an opening. David Bauer with an off-track sitting in 2nd, the number 35 machine. A 2nd behind Zepka and Achatella's battle. There's Damon Mitchell closing the gap. Achitella taking over the 7th place spot. That will be his 5th position gain. Oh, what a night. And it looks like McKenzie starting to catch up to David Bauer here. The gap now down to 0.7 of a second. McKenzie just needs to keep his nose clean. I believe 3rd place is more than well good enough. If McKenzie holds on to this 3rd place spot, Carr, I believe, will need to finish 9th to be within 1 point of McKenzie. So Carr really needs a top 8 at this point. But it looks like McKenzie hungry for another spot. Oh, and a bit of a bobble there. Tagging a bit of a gravel. The car gets loose. That's going to give another 1/4 of a second back to Bauer, but McKenzie really just needs to keep his nose clean. He's got 6 minutes left to go in this feature event. But he seems very hungry for a 2nd place spot. My goodness, these guys are out here racing. Carr still sitting in the 16th place spot. Really need some luck here to keep that championship hope alive. If you would have asked me coming into the season finale if anybody could have touched James Carr, I would have said no. I would have thought he had this thing locked up. But man, we said it early on in the sprint, anything can happen here, especially with an inverted top 10 where you have to kind of muscle your way through the field a little bit more. An 11 incident point limit, very, very low. Not giving these drivers a lot of wiggle room. A hard car-to-car contact is 4 incident points all by itself. Four and a half minutes, and we will decide a new champion here at the Alpha Touring Challenge. It's Lawson, Bauer, McKenzie, your top 3. Hendricks still in 12th. Francois Schink in 4th. James Carr in 16th. It is all coming down to the wire here, and off-track management is the name of the game. The top 3 starting to tighten up, less than a second separating these top drivers. Lawson still leading the number 77 machine. He's not in the championship hunt, so it's all for bragging rights here today. Trying to cap off this season the best way he knows how. Behind these other drivers, that is Francois Schink and Mike De Almeida, the number 6 machine. Rounding out the top 5. They're about 3.2 seconds back from these top 3 drivers. Looks like Lawson trying to break the draft of Bauer McKenzie behind. And Lawson's smart here. He might be trying to slow the pace down slightly, getting McKenzie and Bauer to fight a little bit here. Lawson's been very clean with the off tracks. Can maybe afford to stack these guys up behind him. These drivers are playing chess, not checkers. McKenzie takes a peek to the inside of Bauer. I think McKenzie's going to play it very safe here. With 2 minutes left to go, I don't foresee him trying to make any big passes here at the end of this thing. That was Lawson's fastest lap of the race, a 1:38.42. McKenzie a 1:38.34, about a tenth off his fastest lap, so the pace staying extremely consistent here. McKenzie all over the back bumper of David Bauer. Kurt Smith down pit road for a little bit of a drive-through penalty. And Smith will retire from this one with 1 minute left to go and the final feature of the year. Lawson stretching his legs out front, now 8/10 up over Bauer and McKenzie, who are still linked up nose to tail. I believe they're going to have one more lap left to go here. So that has moved Carr up into the 15th place spot, and Micah Hendricks has a huge off track. Things are going from bad to worse for that number 1 machine. So the white flag is unfurled. We're going to go one more lap here. Lawson leading the field. Bauer is second back. McKenzie sitting in third. Now in these top three, I'm not expecting any big moves here. I think McKenzie's going to play it very, very safe and just follow the leaders to get to the end. He's got championship dreams here. But we've seen some titans such as Hendricks and Carr with those drive-through penalties. Drivers that have unfortunately retired: Kurt Smith, Mark Schrader, Raymond Toe, Dan McFarland, all out of this final feature. Really great guys on and off the circuit. And Micah Hendricks has another incident that this time will put him back on pit road. What happened to Hendricks there? He pulls over, stops, and takes a tow. Now, I don't think Hendricks is going to miss out on too many points there. Even finishing 18th, I still show him 5 above Francois Schenck. Checkered flag is out. John Lawson picks up the final feature win of the season. David Bauer gets second. And Logan McKenzie will round out the top 3. And I am fairly certain that puts McKenzie as your champion. So I'm waiting to get some confirmation from the officials on how the championship will be decided. But I'm fairly certain that puts McKenzie as the points leader. Now, I'm not sure about bonus points and any of that sort. But I show McKenzie as 11 points up over James Carr. We're going to get these drivers up here to victory lane slowly but surely. We've got Lawson. We're waiting on Bauer and McKenzie. I feel like it's going to be a slight delay here, as I believe there's some math being done in the background. So we're waiting on Logan McKenzie to make his way up here to the interview room. I'm pretty sure he's doing a little bit of admin math here to finalize the points. So we're waiting on Logan McKenzie to make his way up here to the interview room. And here we go. We're going to get things started with Mr. Logan McKenzie. Join us in third. Logan, were you a little bit delayed getting to the booth doing some math behind the scenes?
No, I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident. Wow, that wasn't how I expected that to go. Especially the start. I got bogged down behind Francois and David, and ended up never getting back by David, but didn't have to. Wow. What a race.
Would you rather be lucky or good, Logan? That's my next question.
If I'm winning a championship, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm lucky. I don't care if I'm good. But I think this one was a mixture of all three of those things.
Yeah. I'd agree, man. Up 5 spots in the feature, able to avoid some carnage. Now, for the viewers at home, explain the bonus points that are possibly at play here tonight.
Well, there's incident, like if you get less than 4 incidents, which I know none of us got, or at least none of the important people up at the top. And then pole position, Micah got that. I don't know who led a lap. I'm not sure if James ever even led a lap. Like, I don't think.
So bonus points probably not in play.
Nope, I don't think so. And I would have gained, I would have outgained James by like 23, 25 points here. So I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah, I'm not sure about how the bonus points and maybe from the sprint might be a factor, but just straight points. I show you 11 points up over Carr at the end of this, making you the Season 9 champion.
Yeah, it's yeah, I'm sure that'll take a bit to sink in. It feels weird because like you go into the race and you're just not expecting it to happen, and you run your race, and yeah, no, I am super gutted for both Micah and James. I don't know all the problems they had during that race, but yeah, it's a shame they couldn't battle on track to the end. But yeah.
Well, Logan, I know you're kind of shell-shocked with this one, but man, what a great season all the way around. Walking away, we believe, with the number 1 plate. So tell the fans, who do you want to give a shout-out to that helped lock this thing up for you this season?
Yeah, shout out to the whole Yellow Flag Motorsports team. It looks like all of them snuck into the top 10 today. So great team finish to round out the year. We got the Delta Championship. We got the Alpha Championship as all team effort. So shout out to those guys.
Well, hey, man, always a great time talking to you. Awesome to see you walk away with the championship, a solid third, and good to have you back up here. And just, again, congratulations on a great season all the way around.
Yeah, thank you for picking up these broadcasts, and yeah, it's been enjoyable talking to you in the booth.
Awesome. You as well, Logan. Thank you again, bud.
Thank you.
That was Logan McKenzie bringing it home in third and most likely the season champion. Up next, David Bauer, the number 35 machine. David, 4 spots, a clean car, and a great evening for you to cap off a season.
Yeah, I felt pretty good out there tonight. I didn't feel too prepared with that first chicane. That's a really, really tough corner, but I felt like I wanted to come back after last week and see what I could do.
Well, it seemed like things worked out well for you, but it seemed like this track was extremely tough for anybody to really make moves. Once you were locked in with a guy who was running really within a half second a lap of you, it seemed just about impossible to really make anything happen.
Yeah, it was very, very challenging. I think in both heats that ended up happening and was a little bit frustrating, but that's the nature of the track, and you got to take advantage of the early race to get ahead.
Now, David, now that this is all said and done, the dust has settled, is this a track you would like to see the field come back out to, or is this one that you would rather skip in future seasons?
I think I enjoyed it. It was really, really good to hot lap. I remember racing it a lot when I started sim race, and I actually wish that it got used more, but for this specific car track combo, I don't know how well it worked, but I wouldn't be opposed.
Well, hey, it seemed like things worked out well for you. The number 35 machine able to run up front very quick for the entire feature event. Most importantly, avoided the off tracks that plague so many other drivers. So you've just got to be content. Walking away at the end of the season with a second place. Didn't run the full season from what I saw, but what's the plan for seasons to come? Are we going to see that 35 machine out on track more often?
Yeah, I mean, I've been around for a minute. Took a little sabbatical mid-season and came back. But yeah, I'm feeling like I got good pace, so I'm ready for next season.
Awesome, David. Looking forward to having you back out on track. Before I let you go, who do you want to give a shout to that helps bring home such a great result for you and the team here?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my dog.
And what's the dog's name, David?
That's Jasper.
Jasper. Tell us more about Jasper. We didn't really get enough the last time you were up here in the booth. What's his or her name? What breed? Tell me more about Jasper.
Jasper he's a pit bull, chow chow, German shepherd, and about 17 other breeds. 2% Chihuahua. He's a little monster, but I love him.
Well,
he's still a puppy. He's great.
Well, awesome, David. I appreciate you, buddy. We got more than 6 words out of you, so I'm happy as a broadcaster. I know Jasper is absolutely losing it in the background, so congratulations again on second place, buddy, and we'll work on those interviews next season.
Yep. Jasper's going to have to PR train me a little bit harder.
Awesome, David. Thank you so much, buddy. That was David Bauer bringing it home in second place. Up next, John Lawson joined us in the top spot, the number 77. John, what a way to cap off a season, my friend.
Yeah, I'll take it. I would have rather seen James get the points enough to hang on to the lead or the series champ, but a win's a win. I'll take it.
Well, I mean, it looked like a great race, and for the most part, once you're able to cut through traffic, pretty much, I mean, just kind of checking out and keeping it clean. Really didn't see you have to run into too many issues in the back half of the race.
No, I definitely didn't have the fastest pace, but this track is incredibly hard to pass on, so I just knew I had to keep the incidents down and keep the slowdowns at bay. I had one late in the race, and Logan and David caught up real quick, but was able to keep them behind me.
Now, do you think, it looked like David and Logan both had the pace, do you think the off-track worries are what kind of kept the top 3 calm in the last 5 minutes?
Oh, I'm not sure. I know Logan was probably thinking about the season champ rather than the race win. So, I mean, he was just collecting those points.
Well, it seemed like it worked out well, and it worked out very well in your favor, able to set the pace, keep those guys at bay, and I think with the championship contentions in mind, I don't think anybody was really trying to show a wheel there.
Yeah, exactly. Like this track turned out to be incredibly hard to pass on, so you really had to have the incident numbers in hand in order to attempt anything. Now,
John, we've asked the other drivers, now that the dust is settled, would you like to come back to this track again in the future?
I it turned out to be a decently fun track, but passing was incredibly hard. Unless they changed the draft a little bit, I don't know if it's worth it coming back here.
Well, it seemed like things have worked out well for you, all things considered, able to keep the shenanigans at bay, the off-tracks to a minimum. And, John, you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final feature win of the season. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make it happen?
Oh, you know what? I was nowhere without the setups from James this season. A year before that, it was he's just been doing an amazing job with the setups for us. Should be big shout out to him.
Awesome. John, always a pleasure, buddy. Great to see you in that number 77 machine back in the top spot, and hope to have you back up here a bunch next season.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was John Lawson bringing it home in the top spot. He was again accompanied, well, let's get the right pad pulled up, by David Bauer in second and Logan McKenzie in third. Again, McKenzie walking away as the Season 9 champion here at the Alpha Touring Challenge, North America's largest front-wheel drive iRacing series. On behalf of the Alpha Touring Challenge, my name has been James East. On behalf of Team Goon Squad, filling in for Mason Heimbaugh, who's always in our thoughts. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to be a part of your booth, to hang out with you drivers, as well as the race stewards, and of course, the fans at home tune in every Monday night, supporting the league, supporting the drivers, as well as supporting the broadcast. Thank you all so much for the final time. I'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.